Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is match preview showtime again, and it is another big game for the Gills this weekend as we look to bounce back from consecutive defeats with a home fixture against Accrington Stanley. And I'm pleased to say we have a returning friend of the channel in Tony Robinson. You can find him on X at ToneCat54. I'll put his details in the description at the bottom of this video, and he is a co-host of the brilliant Across the Pitch Accrington Stanley podcast. So I'll put their details down the bottom as well. So go and give them a follow for all the Stanley perspective before, during, and after the game. Tony, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're good.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and look at the upcoming match and hopefully put forth a good discussion on both teams.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's why we get people like you on to find out about opposition, and that's what we want to do. So we'll have a quick look at current form, last 6 games at the moment. I'll just rush through the Gills one because obviously it is a Gills channel, so most people will know about that already. It's 9 points from the last 18 for the Gills, and that's 3 wins and 3 defeats. Victories coming against Tranmere and Notts County and Barrow, all to nil. But there's been 3 defeats against Doncaster, Grimsby, and Crewe Alexandra most recently. So we currently sit second on goal difference for Accrington Stanley. It's been a tough start to the campaign so far. The last 6 has only garnered 5 points. There was a victory this past weekend against Morecambe, but aside from that, it's been slim pickings. A couple of draws against Colchester and Port Vale, but defeats against Notts County, Crewe, and Cheltenham leaves Stanley languishing in 23rd place at the moment with just 6 points. Tony, first question. I had you down as 23rd in my pre-season predictions, and that's where you are at the moment. At the risk of asking you a question and giving me your thoughts on that, which would have been a couple of months ago before a ball was kicked, would you have said that was a little bit harsh? But was you aware that with the changes to management and that type of thing, and the budgets of the club and budgets of other clubs, maybe more importantly, that it was potentially going to be a season of struggle for Stanley this time around?
Well, I think I mean a lot of the pundits had Stanley in the bottom two. So I think a lot of Stanley fans who know the club inside and out better than some of what the pundits have put forward,
Mm-hmm.
uh, realized that it was going to be a tough season, but there's enough there that we feel that the team is going to be or is better than its irregular the position it is now.
Okay.
The obviously it's been a tough goal with getting that win, but overall I still don't think that we are a bottom two team, even with the struggles that you've mentioned and the form that we've been in. I know I'm an optimist, but looking at the play and what's transpired to this point, I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll get out of the bottom two, and I'm hoping that and confident that we'll make your prediction wrong.
Absolutely fine with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine with that. I've happily eaten humble pie regarding various teams down the years, and if I have to do it again, it's no problem at all. Knife and fork at the ready, Tony. One more concerning issue before we start looking at more of the positives is your away form so far. And I understand it's only 4 games, but that's 4 games that have bought only 3 goals for so far, 11 conceded and 0 points. You come into a place against a side that's taken 12 points from 15 at home so far, has only lost once in the league since Boxing Day of last year, albeit that was our most recent home fixture, and scored 2 a game in them 5 fixtures. So how quickly does the away form, have to be turned around if you want to give yourselves a fighting chance?
Well, obviously it's got to be a consideration and a concern, because if your home form is suffers, you can't have a poor away form. So that's just a recipe for disaster. And
Mm-hmm.
it's I think there's, as I said, there's encouraging signs. And against I think it was Cheltenham when we were last week.
Mm-hmm.
We were up 1-0 and went down to defeat to 2-1. So we have in the recent matches been getting a leg up and scoring first. The problem is holding on to that lead. And I think when you look at away form on paper, if you look at and using the information that you just provided, this match has already been decided, and we all know that on paper that's not where the results come from, and it's on the pitch.
Absolutely.
I think this is a match that Gillingham fans will be looking at and counting on 3 points. And from my experience, and I'm speaking strictly from a Stanley supporters point of view, that can be a foot on the banana skin.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing, the way Stanley have been improving is to take them for granted, because if they can get the first goal or even two, um, they have tightened up defensively. If you look at the stats recently, they have improved in that area. Considering the first part of the season, they were conceding. It was really very poor, the goals against. So yes, it's on paper it's no contest, but I'm confident that they'll come out and have a good showing and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully catch Gillingham. Um, you know, maybe taking it a little bit too for granted. And as we know, you can't do that. Any team in the league, you can't take for granted on any given day.
No, absolutely. And I think losing at home to Grimsby last week probably means that we won't now take it for granted. I don't think we would have done anyway, regardless of the two defeats. But I understand your point. But yeah, obviously last Tuesday, everyone said, oh, Gills home banker. And it didn't turn out that way. You have to work hard. You have to earn the right to win football matches at this level. And I think anyone can beat anyone on any given day. One big positive so far this season, a name that jumped off the page, um, was a young man called Dara Costello,
Yes.
centre forward. Got both goals in the win against Morecambe last weekend. Scored the week before in the defeat at Cheltenham to take him up to 3 goals for the season in League Two. He's only 21 years old. How impressed have you been with young Dara, and can he be the centre forward that potentially scores you enough goals to take you away from them bottom positions as the season goes on?
He's a loanee, as you said. He's coming from Burnley, and it took him, like a lot of the loanees and new signings that have come in. Um, it's taken an adjustment period. I think a lot of it is because of the timing of when the players come in, but
Mm-hmm.
he's definitely taken his opportunity. And there was a concern because if you look at his overall record, it's um, it's not all that impressive for scoring goals. But the talent is there. You can see him on the ball and the way he distributes it. That he's got the talent, and I think these goals, the 3 goals in 2 games, definitely gives him the confidence. And you'll see him up. Basically, they've had Mooney up front, but what you'll see at times is they may slip into 2 strikers up front, or
Mm-hmm.
even slipping in behind. So Mooney and Costello seem to be interchangeable, and I think John Doolan will probably, if he sees that one is getting more advantage and getting the ball more than the other, he might make that move. Whoever can get in the lanes, he'll probably put in that position. Uh, but just to, the other point you mentioned, and I thought it's probably worth just touching on, is the confidence
Mm-hmm.
Stanley got after their win and the form that Gillingham have just recently been in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a positive outlook for the team, and I think that's something that's going to be dwelled on during this week. Is that uh, not that Gillingham are there? It's for the taking by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that there is an opportunity if we
Mm-hmm.
can strike first and protect that lead. There's a chance of coming away with some points. But as far as Costello is concerned, yes, he's definitely doing well, and other home players that have come in have really contributed to this past change in form for Stanley, and I think John Doolan's got some good quality loan players that come in this season.
It'd be interesting to see then. And just touching on your point about scoring first and then potentially having something to hold on to, if you do that, it would be tough for us because all 3 of our defeats have come this season to nil. We've not managed to come back from behind. So that's something that we need to work on if we want to be a side that's going to be in contention for promotion come the end of the season. It's fair to say that Costello's a young man at the very beginning of his career, and on the other side you have the evergreen Sean Whalley, 37 years old and still tearing it up in League Two, 2 goals and 3 assists already in 9 games, still showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. How important will Sean Whalley be, not just for his technical ability and his attributes on the pitch, but in terms of his leadership skills and his experience for all the younger players? Because looking through your squad, you've got lots of young players, sort of 19, 20, 20, 21, 22. How important will Whalley be as the season goes on in terms of on and off the pitch?
Well, yeah, I mean, right from day one, you hit it on the head. His experience and his contribution up front and his crosses into the box are don't show any signs of waning even at his age. He's in physical. His condition is actually top notch and an example to the younger players. There was one match a couple of matches ago. He came off. He was subbed off and you could see it really bothered him. And it shows that the desire and the will is there. And as it does, he likes to cut inside. He likes to play with the ball. He'll distribute it, and he does get some good crosses into the ball. He's taken the mantle away from basically Sean McConville, that was a similar player,
Mm-hmm.
and Sean Whalley is invaluable, because when you look at it, if you take him and Seamus Keneally off the pitch, then you're dealing with a team that's basically 23 or under, or even 19, 20-year-olds. So they're the two of them. I don't. You can. I think Sean Whalley gets a lot of credit because he's more of an attacking
Mm-hmm.
individual that shows, and he comes across, and you see him on the assist. Whereas Seamus Keneally is basically the same type of player, but in front of the back three.
Mm-hmm.
And his experience has been really important to a calming influence as Seamus, where Sean Whalley is just. I mean, when you watch him play, and you just shake your head how the quality of his football, even at his age, he's still got a lot more in the tank from watching him.
Yeah, just look at his stats from the win against Morecambe. Played the full 90 minutes, 56% pass completion, 3 key passes, 3 completed crosses, couple of shots at goal. But then he does his work without the ball as well. He won 6 of his 11 duels on the ground, 2 clearances, a block shot, 3 tackles. So it's not like he's come to a certain age and he's gone only doing one side of the game. He's still contributing, going towards both boxes, which is what you want, isn't it, from your experienced ones and your leaders, because they're setting an example for others.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things is that he can draw a penalty. He did that against Morecambe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he knows with his experience that if he feels a hand on the back, he knows well enough, if he's in full flight and he feels that he's going to go down. I mean, if you're a Morecambe fan and you think he went down too easily, but if you looked at it in real time, the player did touch his back and he went down.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a Stanley point of view, it was a well played maneuver what he did,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and he can do that. He can. If the referee knows that he likes to go down too easy, then it might be a little tougher. But he did get a penalty, and that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it obviously was an important part of the game, because it got the first goal. Then Costello scoring just before the half really was a big goal. The timing of that one as well.
Yeah, I've always said it should go as an assist. If you score the penalty, the person who's won the penalty should get the assist, because it's him that's directly contributed to the penalty being given. So I don't understand that rule, and I never have, and I never will. So yeah, we'll give Sean Whalley the assist for that one, Tony. In terms of Saturday afternoon, team news and that type of thing, I know you'd have had a game in the week by the time this gets published, but you seem to think there's going to be loads of changes because it's a trophy game. But do you see many changes from the lineup against Morecambe to come in 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon against us, or do you think it'll be a case of as many of them will play as possible unless injuries intervene?
Well, yeah, I think if you look at that squad, I think the only change that I could possibly see would be Jake Batty coming in. who's on loan from Blackburn. He's out under the concussion protocol and missed
Okay.
Saturday because of that, or else he would have played. And he's another young lad, and he plays. I could see him coming in, maybe going into that wing back position. And then maybe Benny that is on loan from Bolton. Seems like all the players we're talking about when I mentioned them are on loan. But Benny is he could drop to the bench, and Donald Love, who's been a great signing from Morecambe, I could see him moving into the more of the midfield role. They like to. They're going now with in the last two matches against Port Vale and Morecambe. In both matches, they got up to in 2-0 leads. They've gone with three wing backs, or sorry, three center backs and two wing backs. And then you've had Seamus Keneally sitting in front of the back three. And then you basically had three behind the striker of Wally and Kambeni, and then Costello. The other player that could come in is Tyler Walton, and he's been out with a knock, and up till he'd been injured, he contributed with 2 goals early on in the season, and he's I think he's 26, 27, but he's come from non-league Southport, and it's surprising at that age. I think he's just been overlooked because he has shown that he's got pace and can play in this league, which is surprising coming in the league at that age and just playing non-league all these years. You don't very often find an unearth a gem of a player that age, but he could come in. But then he plays on the wide, which where Costello's been playing too. So I think Tyler Walton could come in off the bench, but if Batty's injured, sorry, if he's healthy, I could possibly see him coming on because he is a talented player and probably one of the best 11. Should be in the starting 11.
Okay, so some options there for John Doolan if everyone's fit and comes through the midweek game unscathed. Yeah, so it gives you lots of options, and like you say, it's just a case now of trying to build on that win against Morecambe and going from there, isn't it? In terms of the Gills, we've still got doubts over plenty. Connor Masterson and Josh Andrews, Aaron Rowe, Robbie McKenzie went off injured last week in the defeat at Crewe. Bradley Dack felt his hamstring again, so we're still having to nurse him through. Jake Turner's out with an ankle problem. I think we've got 2 or 3 playing with Knox or trying to get fit. So there's been a call on social media, Tony, for quite a lot to maybe make a few changes for Gills, but I can't see Mark Bonner doing that based on the fact that the whole home form, aside from one, has been very, very solid. If it was up to me, I think I'd make maybe just a couple of changes. I think Ethan Coleman would come into the midfield for Robbie McKenzie. The only other change I'd make would be I'd start Joe Bode, who's been very, very good. He's a youth product of ours who we all thought was a centre forward, but evidently was as a winger as a child, and he's been played as a winger through pre-season, and he's having an impact on the first team. So that'd be my 2 changes, and then if we need to change the system, we could go to a diamond and 2 up front if need be. But obviously that's up to Mark Bonner, and it depends on how the game's going Saturday afternoon as well. Final question, and you know what it's going to be, the dreaded score prediction.
Well, I'm as I say, I'm an optimist, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think the team's up for the game because of the way the confidence has been has come back into the team after that much needed win. So they're coming in on a high. And I think another thing I should have mentioned earlier is that the last 2 results really come with a changing keeper. With Kelly's has dropped to the bench, and young Creelan has come in.
Yeah.
Who, well, he's not that young. He's I think 23, 24, but for a keeper, that's fairly young.
Yeah, very young for a keeper.
And he's really sort of seemed to be more control of the box, and he's given the defenders a little more confidence. So that I think it's when you're in a bad form, you've got to do something. And I in an article I wrote for Across the Pitch, I was suggesting that possibly a changing keeper might just be something that might lift the team. And it's no reflection on Kelly. He has played well, but just sometimes a shake-up in nets can be the deciding factor. But having said that, I see us going out to 1-0 lead, and the problem with Stanley, if the opposition pressures the team, we will concede. And they've done that. I said 2 goals against Port Vale in the 90th minute and
Mm.
95th minute or whatever, and then again in the 86th minute against Morecambe. Conceding late goals has been a real thorn. In fact, if the leads that we've had, if we'd have kept the leads that we would have, we would have been mid-table, and people would be just talking about Stanley as a competitive team. So we're not far off, but coming against a team like Gillingham in their own arena is going to be a tough task, and that's why I'm going to stick with the 1-1 draw. I'll take 2-2, but I'll take a draw now.
Yeah, I think Cheltenham was the last 10 minutes as well, wasn't it? So it's just them, like you say, it's just switching off in key moments, and it makes a huge difference because even if a couple of them are not getting, you could have 4 more points.
Yeah, and it's if you look at all the losses they've had where they've had the lead, except last week, all the goals have come in the last 10 minutes, including injury time,
Mhm.
uh, and it was some nervy moments against Morecambe. But I think the team is coming together and the change in shape and the change in some of the personnel. Unfortunately, I think the unfortunately cup fight tonight is Sonny El Jolfrey, who played on Saturday. He's only 19 from United, and I'll
Mhm.
tell you he fit in like he's 23, 24-year old. So look at him being in the back three. But the other one thing I forgot is that O'Brien could be out. He's on the national duty, and also he's got a game suspension. So if he
Okay.
doesn't play, then you could see Batty dropping into his spot and then leaving the three at the back. So and then Love would maybe, as I said, go into the midfield. But yeah, there's some options, and hopefully the key players that won't be playing tonight, therefore won't be injured, and come into the game Saturday in good shape.
Time will tell. Come
Yeah.
3 o'clock Saturday afternoon or 2 o'clock when the team news comes out. In terms of a score prediction for me, I've been looking at head-to-heads. Um, I think since 2008 at the Priestfield, we played 8 times. We've only lost once. It doesn't scream thriller. We've only scored 7 and conceded 4 in them 8 games. So it's not going to be a massive goal fest, I don't think. But I'm going to back us on our own patch to recapture the winning feeling. And I've written mine down. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Gillingham.
Oh, okay. It's quite possible. I just think we've have been scoring,
Mhm.
so you could change that to 2-1, and I'd understand it completely.
I'll take 2-1. That's absolutely fine. Tony, as always, it's been a real pleasure, mate. I really appreciate you coming on. I really enjoy our chats.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. Gills fans and Accrington fans, if you are still watching at this point, I say it every time, thank you very much for your support. Please keep hitting that like button and please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free to do so and it really helps me out. I'm wearing this again. You will notice Gillingham fan Justin Foote is now on day 9 of his 30 days walking for Prostate Cancer UK. A man dies in the UK every 45 minutes from prostate cancer. So do get yourselves checked out because that's 2 men every time we watch a football match. If you can dig deep, whether it's a small amount, a medium amount, or a big amount, Justin will appreciate it. So please go and check out. The link is in the description for his GoFundMe page. And myself, Ava, and the gang will be back Saturday for a match day live at the Priestfield. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you to Tony, and up the Gills.